that yearly, or is it every other 2 years?
For which one?
For the, sexual harassment training,
Every 2 years.
every 2 years? Okay. Any questions, Tanisha? Thank you.
Okay, we have the engineering operations and maintenance report, Charles.
Yes, I'll start off with the 2016 water grant on the 24-2 Exceptional project. All the grant reports, everything was submitted, and this was our first year that we actually ran water down there, so everything went pretty well with all our pipe installation and turnout boxes, so we didn't have very much hiccups going on there, which we didn't expect any to begin with. Also, engineer staff is coordinating with the maintenance department for the off-season projects. Currently, we're working on the Burgess project across the road here. We got 740 feet of 36-inch ADS pipe that we're installing. The road crossing has been completed already. As far as the pipe, we should be done by the end of this week installing that 740 feet of pipe there. We're also building a weir box. It's about 6 foot by 12 foot weir box that we're building ourselves in-house. So we started that already. We're all the rebarring for that, so we'll be completing that probably within another couple of weeks. Projects also the Jansen Shore Pipeline, Avenue 18, Road 20. We're going to jump on that as soon as we get a chance. Design is not quite completed yet, but that's in progress. 32-2 turnout, pipeline, Avenue 21 and Road 20. The drawings are in progress, also with engineering department. Currently, we just completed the survey on the 24-2. We started with the grade off this week down there on Road 23 and Avenue 14. 24-2 has been a canal system that we had a lot of problems with last year, getting some water down there, so we're finally in there, we're gonna do dredging on the bottom, so we're gonna work our way all the way from Road 23 all the way to Avenue 11, so it's quite a long distance, so we'll try to clean that entire canal and get that cylinder removed from there. Also, the Cerro Viejo project, their 6-2 pipeline project. They're currently installing the pipeline. I went down there last week, got a photo of their crossing Avenue 204, I think that is, down that area. So they're moving pretty well down there. They should be done by mid-December, installing that pipeline. California High Speed Rail, there's ongoing discussions regarding the 6-2, the 13-4, and the 9-2. We're having discussions for ourselves there, and we're ongoing discussions. Don't seem to finish, but at least we're getting there. Engineering staff is coordinating with the right-of-way mapping. They're all still continuing on the right-of-way mapping with the GIS system. Recorder house and level sensor will be installed in 2020 for Madera Lake. That right now, what we have there is just a stat gauge. We go down there, we have to drive down there, read the stat gauge, see what the water level is in Madera Lake. So we're working on actually getting that brought directly into the office. We no longer have to travel out there and get those readings. Summary of the 2019 water season was completed for MID recharge basins. And the second page, Big Creek, we went ahead and opened up the gates on December the 5th. You can see the photo there. Also, the Cerro Viejo and the 6-2 pipeline, I went up there last week. We got a photo of the 6-2 pipeline where they're moving fairly well down there. So hopefully we'll get that done by mid-December. Canal flows, we completed most of our canal flows on November the 4th. Pretty much shut all the water coming into the district. After that, we had canal operator crews go out and take down all the weirs and all the creeks and get those ready for floods. Those are all completed and done and ready to accept floods. And that, let's see, island track, we did some repair on island track. We had about 8 leaks. We got those done after the water shut off. Wanted to get those completed and out of the way. Repairs, we had also made 8 leak repairs on the 21-1 West. Leaks were also repaired on the 16-9. We replaced 30 feet of PVC pipe, 15-inch pipe there. We had several leaks. We just went ahead and replaced pipes. One of the photos I got down at the bottom, PVC replacement on the 16-9. That's on just west of Highway 145, 9 of Catholic Church. We had several leaks there at this turnout box, so we just went in there, removed the pipe, and put in some new plastic pipe in there, so we shouldn't have any more problems there. Also repaired 8 leaks on 21-1 West, Road 21.5 and Avenue 11. Grader work is ongoing. We've got both graders going at this point, and we did do some sediment removal up around there by the 24-2 where the Amtrak station is, upstream of that. there was a couple of places there where we haven't reached a settlement, got that all taken care of. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Just report there on some of the welding stuff that was completed. The shop has been keeping pretty busy, doing their safety bid inspections on trailers, and we are gonna get started with the pre-emergence, here fairly soon, as soon as we get some canals cleaned up with the graders, so we can do some sterilizing in different locations.
Question for Charles? High-speed rail on 6-2, when are they gonna get going? Because they're not gonna be able to play with that canal.
Well, we had a meeting with them last week, me and Darren had a phone call meeting with them, and apparently, I didn't have him yesterday, he also had a call with them again, I was in the wall in the meeting, but Darren was telling me that, I guess, we were talking about the bypass, they wanna move that, I don't know, Darren hasn't talked to you yet about that, but the bypass, they wanna move it over some more, and there is some landowner trees that are actually on our right of way, so I think that's another thing that they're gonna be discussing with MID and state about regarding that whole project, so I think that's where they're at on that project, they just haven't really moved, haven't decided what they're gonna do there, so.
Yeah, they're still looking at options. MID is, saying here, we're not gonna sign the temporary construction permit until we're satisfied with, their design, and then if they wanna implement like a bypass or, diversion facility during our irrigation season, that we're also comfortable with.
So apparently,
Otherwise,
they
they're not
had it
touching
all
too much
figured
water
out.
through there, so.
Yep.
They had it figured out on some drawings, but apparently that's changed since yesterday, talking to Darren today, so there's, like I said, there's some trees there on the right of way that they wanna move the bypass out a little further, but we'll have to work on discussing that with them, and see if we can go with that, so.
So in other words, we don't have a schedule.
Yeah, well,
Or-
Nothing.
Now you really don't anyway.
Exactly.
Okay, any other questions for Charles? Thank you. All right.
It's also included in the packet, is the updated, sorry,
It was not.
it was not included in the packet, but it's in my MID semi-annual well run information has been updated, is online, and we've by now posted there. Okay. So you see a small decrease in the fall run from last year, it could be related to how dry it was this fall, I'm not sure, but we did see decreases in water levels on average. I know where you are, of course.
Okay.
Okay, we have item 5, recurring business, 5A, update on the Fresno River adjudication and facilitation process.
Miss. Do you know this? No? Oh.
No, it's next, but we just have to, next
Oh.
time before we discuss the
Right,
date.
that's right. It's on 7-8B up there. Get it for,
Yeah, this is one where Mr. Cousins, if he wants to, be in the audience, as Amanda, but, he's
Do we want to do, oh, our 7 people. Okay.
Well, so since our last board meeting, there's been, some different activities related to the Fresno River adjudication and facilitation process. MID participated in a facilitator interview, with the facilitators who have been selected by the State Water Resource Control Board. Those facilitators are Kearns and West. That was done in October. They apparently interviewed a number of parties, and then they put together an assessment summary report, which they circulated, and are still, I think, finalizing. Beyond that, there was an ad hoc legal group. There was a call on Friday. Again, that's an ad hoc group, with a number of attorneys discussing process. John Kinsey nicely got volunteered, to be on the committee moving forward, or some form of that committee moving forward. Also, they have scheduled an initial kickoff meeting. It is January 7th. So that will be coming up here shortly. And then finally, the facilitators circulated an agreement to mediate. That agreement is on your agenda for 7D. And I guess we can skip ahead to that really quick. That agreement, there was a version included in your packet. There now has been edits requested by various parties to that agreement, so we are actually gonna table 7D till the January board meeting. And then related to other fronts, aside from the facilitators, the State Water Resource Control Board actually has completed a preliminary, desktop investigation and has circulated those results. So again, it's a desktop investigation related to riparian landowners along the Fresno River, but it's not a full chain of title analysis. So that is being circulated also. So there's multiple, dynamics and multiple fronts being worked on related to the Fresno River.
And just so you know, the desktop analysis, I think we were pleasantly surprised that, their findings were relatively consistent with ultimately what the district included in its petition. The one difference is, they did not do, as Dina mentioned, the chain of title analysis. And so, we believe that to the extent, there are differences, that's one of the primary reasons, that there was, a part of the parcel that was lopped off, that didn't include a reservation of rights. I just wanted to report that those results are relatively similar to the petition that we submitted last year.
Questions? Okay. Do we wanna jump forward and do 7D, or do we wanna?
Well, yeah, so 7D is going to be tabled, so I don't know if you'd like to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
usually we do you wanna do that now? So discussion possible
You
action.
need to table it or just remove it from the agenda because it's not ready.
We can
Yeah,
table it to the
to-
next agenda.
So 7D is discussion possible action on the agreement to mediate related to the Fresno River facilitation and any other relevant documents related to facilitation. That's resolution 2019-52.
Table resolution number 2019-52 to our next regularly scheduled meeting.
Next.
Second.
Next special meeting.
Just say that, yes. And it's-
Seconded that, Carl?
Carl.
All in favor?
Alright.
Opposed? Okay. You can come back up, but thank you, and take care of that, we don't have to go back.
Okay, so we have item 6, general manager's report. We have update of activities. We have the end of water season presentation, Mid-Pacific Water Users Conference, January 21st through the 24th of 2020, and update on the MIT Centennial Celebration.
While Andrea pulls up the end of water presentation, I'll just go through some scheduling items online. Mid-Pacific Water Users Conference is the end of January. I think we've got everybody who'd like to attend signed up. If there's any interest, please contact Andrea as soon as possible because that's getting filled up. Update on the MID Centennial. If you haven't received a copy, we do have a calendar printed. Members of the public would like a copy. There's copies here. Please help yourself. Pretty proud of it. So it has a lot of history on the city of Madera also and how our community was created and kind of evolved from the district's history. So please make sure you get a copy of that. Along with that, it also has our latest newsletter which highlights the water year and information related to groundwater, which you heard a lot of that today, and we'll hear some of that summary presented here with our end of year water presentation. For those of you who don't know, Gravelly Ford Water District issued a 218 election and it recently came through. The district owns a parcel in Gravelly Ford. We received the ballot. We are working with Gravelly Ford to see if we can come to an agreement on how the district's parcel should be handled. It's our understanding that the 218 did pass for Gravelly Ford, so we'll be contacting them and working through that in the very near future. District staff, along with Mr. Davis, attended the Water Authority Strategic Planning event. It's held in Pismo. I think, again, they've been doing this, I think, the third year now.
Yes.
Brian's been able to attend 2 of the last 3, and I believe Jim, you went to the first one, right?
Yeah.
It was
No,
excellent.
second.
The second one, okay. It was another good event, a lot of good items. Obviously, a lot of the focus with Bryant Water Authority right now is the Frank Kern Canal and associated topics related to that, but overall big picture items were discussed. And also, they do a really good job with that. They put you to work, and even through dinner, most groups are discussing the topics and come back with detailed lists
Some of them
of
answer every
recommendations.
single question.
Yes,
right?
and some groups don't get very many questions, but it is a good event, and I think it's been very effective on having a lot of discussion, particularly among the board members, in an atmosphere where they're able to discuss amongst each other, really get some ideas out on the table, how to move forward. So that was a good event. A lot of the board was able
able to attend Aqua recently, another, good event. I think at that, the highlight for me at least was the large joint dinner amongst Bryan Water Authority, San Luis Delta Mendoza Water Authority, and the Exchange Contractor Authority.
Not to mention the people who were there.
Well, yeah, that's what I get. That meeting brought in so many key stakeholders, from so many different agencies and political fronts in one room together. I've never seen such a united effort in the water world since I've been around, which is long, but I think that was a very positive note to see all of those groups working together now, working for the benefit of all of us instead of fighting amongst each other. They'll have common goals, and it's nice to see those groups really focusing on how can we help each other. It hasn't always been that way, that's for sure. Let's see. Oh, on the Centennial, some of you may have noticed in the parking lot, we do have a big red tarp over a picture. That is the monument that has been, my understanding, completed. So the unveiling of that will be at our January 16th meeting. So that's exciting to see that. There's been a little bit of preview while they're working on it. It looked very nice. So we're excited to have that done, but to have the official unveiling at our 16th meeting. Okay, so on our water year, we've got our normal slides that we've been doing in years past, and they're always interesting to see how it shapes up. As Carl mentioned, there was a substantial amount of water moved into the district this year. Looking at the numbers in general, from out of the Madera Canal, we moved in nearly 200,000 acre-feet of water into the district this year. That includes our pre-14 SoCal supplies and all of our different flavors of Bryant USBR water supplies. Another 40,000, or excuse me, another about 50,000 acre-feet from the Fresno River system, which includes our 314 out Big Creek and other supplies also there. So, you know, we did push 250,000 acre-feet of water into the district this year, which is substantially more than our overall demand, which will help us through all of our recharge efforts and other activities build that extra water that will be in aquifer for future years. So going through the different uses, looking at Bryant in general, this is our overall supply and how it came into the district. This is nothing new. The unique thing for this year though is if you look at May, what happened in May, we had some substantial storms come in May. The system essentially shut off. Although we kept the system charged, there was, I think we had like 2 users for a majority of May. So that was during the uncontrolled season period. We had opportunities at water. Because we were so saturated with rainfall, the system basically shut down. We had filled our basins up by that time, so we were topping them off. But essentially, see that blip in typically one of our bigger months, usually it's May, June, July, have that go down to nearly 0 was interesting. And then you see the fall off in August when harvest picks up. You see the increase in usage there. In the fall, when we cut the water rate to $25, it jumped up basically almost doubled in deliveries. So layering on that, the deliveries to the system, those lines are actually pretty close together, and so just a reminder, that's water into the system and then water out through a meter. And the difference in those are what percolates or losses in the system. So the losses in the canals percolate into the groundwater. And to quantify those, this number typically runs about 200 acre-feet in past years. We have one of the systems that was a lot more efficient this year. We're looking into why. One of the reasons was we did run, as you're aware, the Fresno River, and we slid the bottom end of the system off of the Fresno River this year instead of off of the 24.2 and 32.2. So that created a little bit of a decrease or improvement in the efficiencies, but reality is that was intentionally running an inefficient route or a recharge effort through the Fresno River to make those deliveries free of capacity in those other systems. So we break this down through the individual systems, 6.2, they all generally follow the same shape here, but you can see the exaggerations of individual systems and deliveries and losses. The 24.2, same thing.
On the 6.2 system, do you consider putting in the basins with the loss? Is that?
Yeah, so all the basin supplies those are captured in the metered deliveries. So that's why you don't see much of an increase, although the amount, and we have a summary slide at the end. Okay. So those are included in a delivery because it goes through a meter. Right. But the reality of how much the system is using, it's not really visible in the numbers. But yeah, good question.
You know what, we kick around these thousands of acre feet like it's nothing. 250,000 acre, half a Millerton Lake, we brought in here through our various sources. That's a lot of water.
Well, it's over 2 feet per acre irrigated in the district.
Just as a reminder too, on that 250, that was a huge impact that month of May.
Yeah.
Where those numbers would have been up here.
So did you calculate that? Did you?
But you really can, because it also gave us availability.
No, I mean, there was no crop demand there either.
Yeah, just figure it out.
It's definitely a win, but we would have if we had demand, served those demands too. So we
Yeah.
could have brought more water in, although we didn't have a crop demand there, everything was saturated.
Yeah.
So as far as the water supply, as far as the water balance, it's good,
Yeah.
but those additional.
The other thing is, if you take a look at it, also, Charles was running water for 9 months.
That's the system he likes. He likes going for 9 months.
So,
Is ready to go again?
so what's not?
Yeah, I think we're maybe around the corner from that.
So the other thing, yeah, we actually started in early February. We weren't able to fire up fully the frying systems because all of the local creeks which we use for conveyance, we had to keep those where they were not checked up.
Yeah.
We couldn't raise the diversions on those because of the flood flows coming down there. So there was a delay in getting the frying system turned on this year because there was so much local rainfall in that early spring. So another time period, which it was great. Again, there was no problem at either of those. So. Yeah, going right.
Last night, just the timeline at the end of October. Lower pricing.
Yeah, so this is what I was speaking of earlier, when the demand shot up and when the prices dropped off. And you see that almost double our demand when we reduced the prices. So that's when the on-farm recharge activities were occurring, along with the lower prices for raw potato growers. So that was fall irrigation that normally wouldn't have occurred if the district hadn't invested in one on-farm recharge or invested in two, cutting the rates below our actual costs to help facilitate those deliveries.
You see the direct correlation too between the pricing, right? The volume of water.
So just looking at the individual systems, you're gonna see the same pattern. You know, the big jump in usage, you can see it really on 6.2, going from 120 acre feet per day all the way up to approaching 360. So there's some 6.2 users who, you know, a lot of that system serves along the San Joaquin River. Water shallow, but they kick on and spread the water. Pretty consistent losses in that system as with the others. 24.2, same thing. Deliveries and losses, pretty consistent. And then 32.2. This is the system that ran way more efficient than typical. So Charles, I want to look at your operators. You did an excellent job compared to prior years, but you can see the efficiencies here. There's hardly any losses on that system. So I'm not sure why, but it did drop down significantly.
When you have operational, spills, where does that come in? Electrical, because it's going through meters, that one, right?
Not all, a lot of it's just lost. So that would be part of the losses. The basins, again, we filled those up as quickly as possible, kept them filled. A lot of them just across the street still have water there and are percolating as we speak. About 8,000 acre feet of water into those basins. There was a huge difference this year, which would be return basin number 6, and you all know which one that is, right?
From the.
Yeah.
Not looking at notes. So Madera Lake, we were unable to put water in there because of the diversion being damaged with flood flows. So that was a huge loss in recharge this year. And we're obviously working aggressively to try to get that facility repaired so that it'll be ready for future
Yeah,
years.
we've been over 10,000.
Oh, easily, that's a
Even
obviously our
more than
largest
that,
reservoir,
probably
so-
over 11.
That happened, number 7, we finally got it. Look at that, amount of water that peaceful is.
So that's the new basin, which
That's
was had the
amazing.
highest yield of recharge, which is over
There's
2,000.
still more dirt in it, Jason, when you clean out.
What you call it, bottomless pit.
Like I said, I grew up watching that thing. You shut the water off, you can see it just go.
So you can see that it is not the largest basin we have, but it is way outperformed any of the other bases, over 3,000 acre feet of recharge to that location.
That's why we're growing some more crops
And
around
that's
our
new.
pond.
Yeah, and so
That's a new
just,
facility.
yeah, just as a reminder related to groundwater management and meeting our GSA goals and such, this is a new basin that was just acquired this year by the district, and not only was acquired, but was able to meet utilities, so that's 3,000 additional acre feet recharge that, you know, prior to the district wouldn't have had the ability to do, so it's a great success for the district.
Your well monitoring program, do you have any out around, I'm sure you do, but they're like,
Around Madera Lake, there's some, there used to be a monitoring network on Madera Lake, but we didn't have the appropriate documents to actually get them into the caption system, so there's others in the vicinity.
interesting to see what effect that had on.
Oh, the fact that it's.
But it didn't recharge,
That's not even true.
Yeah,
for the drop.
Right.
The LS3, which is the partnership with the county, you see that, we actually got a decent amount of water in there, but some, an existing basin that's storm water that we partner with the county on, is what the benefit there. So. And then the city basin there, the Berry Home Basin, it's got 1,000 acre feet of additional supply now, so it's also a good partnership basin there. This is data that I find fascinating. So this is the MID users from applications and actual meters. So what an application is when someone comes up and signs up their turnouts or their multiple parcels, each individual or company, whatever it is, and then the meters are the turnouts under each one of those applications. So obviously you're gonna have more meters than you are applicants. But what I find interesting outside of obviously 2014 and 15 when we didn't have a water supply and that dip, the trending of the decrease in applications, and then you look up and the major increase this year on overall meters signed up. So from 1343 to 1467 this year. So that just shows the number of new turnouts that haven't historically or recently been used that came in and got water this year. And we hope by giving people, perhaps it's the lower price water at the tail end that some sign up for other reasons, but once they start using it, I think that we feel like we come in and sign up each year to take those water supplies. So that's a really big jump, and we're hopeful that that continues.
Do we have a listing of how many tournaments we actually have that are still not operational at this point?
Oh man, I don't know if that exists.
You know what those
Maybe in our
tournaments
GIS, but I don't know if it would be comprehensive.
It's different too, because we've
We've gone,
commingled a lot of them.
right, we've gone to drip and micro.
Yeah,
So a lot of properties that might have had 3 or 4 turnouts, because they were flood irrigated or
Right.
whatever, and they used them all. Now, they probably take more water,
bring it into one.
and they bring it out of one turnout.
Yeah.
So that number is significant.
Yeah, some of these were flood systems that hadn't been turned on in a while, but were turned on in the fall. Some were just new users. I know there were like 10 or 15 brand new users that turnouts that didn't have a meter or anything associated with it. They had to go get a meter for it and start them, so that's brand new users. So anyway, this is good data, and I find it interesting. You also see the consolidation of applicants, turnouts, so a decrease in applicants over time.
and I think that piggybacks on what Dave was just saying, as you
Yeah.
start to see consolidation.
And landowners just picking up more properties, so smaller is not there any longer. I don't know. You might find this interesting. But it's the good news, and the reason I want to show that is the big jump from 1343 to 1467 this year. Turnouts that were utilized.
Well, and the jump even from 2016 to now,
Yeah.
over 200
Yep.
meters.
That's a substantial, and that's, I think, a big part of that is the outreach, education, and Sigma too, just knowing what these.
And going through a couple of years, realizing the salt buildup and stuff when it happens off the wells.
And the stress on our wells too, I think the overall issues. All right, so again, fantastic water year, pushing 250,000 acre feet into the district, far greater than what our overall crop demands were, and creating that surplus for future years into our aquifer. So I think this is one of our bigger water years, and hopefully we'll have more of them to come.
We gotta be careful this year, if it's the same, we're gonna be in danger of injuring ourselves, patting ourselves on the back. Anyway,
Tell us the next day.
Other questions for Tommy on that?
great year.
Very good year. Yeah, and again, the newsletter that Tommy mentioned earlier highlights not only the groundwater work and groundwater management and such, but also the water year itself. So please take the time to read it. It's quite fascinating. What do you think?
I want to compliment the editor.
Oh, thank you.
The editor doesn't.
Thank you.
The students still up in the mountains, any idea, like, we got, looks like a.
There's supposed to be.
You wanna make a comment, what?
Yeah, I was gonna wait for you.
Go ahead.
I don't know why you're looking at me.
Dina, do you know when?
That was actually
I know
brought up at
when.
Friday's meeting last week.
Looks like we got another,
When?
what do they call it, river, atmospheric river coming maybe next week.
They say we got a big storm that's gonna rain all week.
Yeah, it looks like it's a 7-day river, it looks like, so.
We'll talk later, Brian. I can't say bullshit. This stuff right now.
Charles,
Win some bets off of that first.
Maintenance done.
That's all I had.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
Okay,
kidding.
thank you.
Okay.
New business.
Yes, because if you want to do 7B, and then we'll go into 7B, we got like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So 7B, discussion possible action on consulting services agreement for external independent auditing services, resolution number 2018-50.
Gary, they're gonna make you wait right till.
Yes, sorry.
Time
We're
over.
on time.
No worries.
I heard the county was not so on time.
We pride ourselves.
So the external auditing, agreement we had in place expired, after the presentation of the 401K audit back in July. And, I prepared a new request proposal. It was sent out to 10 CPA firms, on October 30th, with the submission deadline of December 2nd. A total of 6 responses came in, 1 declined to participate, but 5 proposals did come in. The RFP was for a 3-year period, with 2 additional option years that covers the audit for years ending December 31st, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023. The RFP is included in the board packet. The 3-year audit costs for proposals submitted range from $68,925 to $87,000. After reviewing the individual proposals that we received and evaluated the responses based on the criteria set up in the RFP, it's recommended that the firm of Hudson and Henderson and Company earned the highest score. And their proposal includes quotes for the 3 years of 2019, 2020, and 2021 for a total of $79,260. They weren't the lowest, I think they were second lowest. With an option to extend the contract for years 2022 for $25,890 and 2023 for $25,890. So there's an option, or the recommendation, or the option for the board is to approve resolution 2019-50 for the external auditing services, or not approve the resolution. If it's not approved, there's a chance we would be in non-compliance or be in violation of California Water Code section 24274, in violation of the state controller's office.
Move for approval 2019-50. Second?
Second.
Okay. First and second, any questions from the public? Questions from the board? Oh, did you, sorry, I got clear. So a hand. Pull the board, please.
Yes.
Director Hudson?
Yes.
Director Davis?
Yes.
Director Jansen?
Yes.
Director Ayers?
Yes.
We have 7C, discussion possible action on amendments to the crop water rules and regulations for the distribution of water and maintenance of canals and pipelines, resolution number 2018-51.
You're good now.
Yeah, so I'll take this one briefly. So there was some recent case law coming out of the 5th District Court of Appeal regarding Turlock Irrigation District that concerned districts' rights and remedies with respect to people who encroach on easements. And so I thought the opinion included some helpful language. And so what we've done is we've included language similar to Turlock Irrigation District in the crop rules and regulations that basically kind of augments the district's toolbox essentially, in dealing with people who approach upon district facilities. We also took the opportunity just generally, because it's been a couple of years since the rules and regulations have been refreshed, just to do a quick run through and propose some edits. Those are all relatively minor. But yeah, there were some augmentations for the penalties for non-compliance with district regulations to give the district a little bit more flexibility. But the primary edits do have to do with encroachments.
Questions for John? Motion?
I move that we approve resolution number 2019-51.
First, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. So what do you do here? Pick it
And I guess we gotta ask questions for 5 minutes.
We can do director reports.
No, I haven't finished 7C yet.
up. Okay, questions from the board? Questions from the public? Full the board, please.
Director LaPlanche?
Yes.
Director Hudson?
Yes.
Director Lewis?
Yes.
Director Jansen?
Yes.
Director Pearson?
Yes.
That's it.
I could have drawn out that staff.
Well, you're really quick this time.
Okay, now let's
Gary.
a presentation by the Madera County Assessors on the annual report. There are a few minutes for you.
Thank you, President Erickson, members of the board, management team and staff. I'm Gary Smonda, Madera County Assessor. And I want to thank you for letting me come before you and spend a couple of 3 minutes here describing a new program we've come up with from the assessor's office. Actually, we found that the assessor's office collects and keeps current some of the most valuable information that can be used by local electeds, our business community, and our farmers and ranchers. Understanding the value changes in residential, commercial, agricultural land and the improvements that we place upon that land gives us a sense of the economic health of our county and the prospects for growth. It also can be an indicator of potential problems that we all should address. Our office has decided that we will attempt to summarize this information and make it available in an annual report. Each year, following the completion of our tax roll activity, we'll update the information and make it available first, obviously, to our board and the staff that rely on the information, but then we'll also make it available to the councils and administration of the city of Madera and the city of Chowchilla. And this year, I decided that it should be disseminated among groups like Bobby Kahn's EDC, the Madera Farm Bureau, since you just left, Eastern Madera County Chamber of Commerce, and MID. Our hope is that these agencies might use this information to better budget and plan for capital expenditure projects going forward. You know, this is our first attempt, and it's far from perfect, but I would ask you all to peruse it, take a look, be critical, and then tell us what we need to update or change. Or if we need to drill down a little farther and give you more usable information. It's public information, and we should be partners with the other elected groups throughout our county. And we intend to do that. So I have copies here that show our very first effort. It has some contact information inside about who you might call if you've got a business property question, an ag question, or a residential question. We're all available via phone or internet, and our contact information is there. This report will be made available on our website. And again, first attempt, not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I thought it was time that we utilize the information that we have. Yeah, you can go to different websites and pull from here, there, and the other place to kind of get an idea of what values might look like. But we set on a property tax roll value of about 15 billion, that's with a B, dollars. And right now with the expansion we're having at 12 and 41, along with other things, we're adding about $1 billion a year. And that will only accelerate. Yes, we have some challenges with ag land. And to give you a breakdown, it says in the report, our houses, residential housing values account for half of our rollback. You guys are a little over 30%. And commercial, industrial stuff is the other 20 or so percent of the value. And again, with challenges with the new SGMA regulations, hopefully it lets us maintain those ag values and kind of use that as a foundation of our economy. But if I were to own a whole bunch of land in that gray area, I'd be beating on my desk to take a hard look at what property values might look like in the next several years. They're not yet, and hopefully with good plans and execution of those plans, we can avoid any dramatic changes, but those are the realities. I might answer any questions you might have. Thank you again for allowing me to just bring our little report, and please take a look at it. And if you find some stuff that you'd like to see next year, or an expansion of things that we've tried to kind of scratch the surface on, please let us know. We're trying to make this thing a little better and useful each year, and it'll take help from all the organizations to kind of peruse and look and critique and help us get it better. Any questions? Happy to try to answer.
So just looking at, this value increasing here $1 billion a year, in tax dollar income, what is that? So
What's that mean?
Come out to.
That's assessed value, AV. Assessed value is what is disclosed. The property tax rate in the state of California is 1% of assessed value. 1%. $1 billion at 1% is 100 million.
So the breakdown, like for instance, on this one of the county would be 1% of the assessed value, and the county makes up
We get about-
14.89%.
We get about 15%.
Okay.
Schools get 50%. Cities and counties get about 6, 7-ish. We get about 15. Special districts, unfortunately, that's not the dairy irrigation district, but I'm talking about cemetery districts, mosquito abatement districts, all those kinds of things get a substantial proportion. But we really only keep about 15 cents on every dollar of property tax actually collected. That's what the county does.
So that's only 15 million a year.
Give or take.
Gary, I wanna tell you what, I wanna commend you for putting this out. You and I talk all the time.
All the time.
And this kind of thing is needed because people toss numbers around, having no clue
In reality.
what they are. And it is important that someone who actually knows puts the correct numbers out there. And so I want to thank you.
Thank you, David. And it's no good unless we share it. You know, what's the secret here? Aren't we all trying to, stretch taxpayer dollars and make it better for the people we represent? Why the hell are we stingy with that stuff? If it can be used by MID or the other entities that I'm talking about, shame on us for not doing this before. But thank you very much.
Yeah, no, Gary, I personally really appreciate this, because like you said, all this information is available, but you have to look yeah, 100 different places to find it, so having it, you know, nicely assembled in a pamphlet is very helpful.
Well, I'm trying to update it each year. How do we move from
Right.
here to here? What did ag do? What did commercial do?
Right.
What did my house stuff do?
Right, what are the changes between years? So,
Yeah, I think that could be helpful for you.
Yeah, great, thank
I
you.
greatly appreciate you coming and presenting this to us and, giving us a chance to take a look at it.
Happy to be here.
Thanks, Gary.
Thanks, Gary.
Okay, on to director's reports. Mr. Cousins, you were first.
My report is, I'm happy to see, maintenance being done in the district, and, hope we can get around all of it, so that when we start, everybody's good to go.
You've only got like 3 minutes to work. Yeah.
That's my report.
Okay.
Merry Christmas to everyone.
Mr. Davis.
Tommy mentioned a lot of the stuff that I attended recently. The Prime Water Authority meeting was a good meeting for everybody. Appreciate everybody letting me go and attend that. I think it was real constructive to have all the districts that were in attendance that are part of Prime. They've even brought in a lot of districts that aren't a part of Prime at the moment, but are trying to create some transparency to allow more districts to get involved. So it was a good brainstorming effort, and it would have been good for any one of us to be there. Managers did real well there contributing. There are some things that were brought up at the retreat there that we need to probably look inward now as the new year starts, and some of the directives that Brian is looking towards, such as title transfer, needs to be addressed at least, so we can have a clear governance and have a unified voice at least on our side. And I will participate in those conversations down the road. Aqua was was that 2 weeks ago now, I believe, and it was pretty eventful. Like Tommy said, it was really nice seeing everybody from the exchangers come together and meet with our big meeting. Had a lot of directors there. Obviously, that was really nice. And it's nice for Bryant to see that Madera is so involved with the operations, or at least representation when we're talking to Fish and Wildlife and with the Bureau. So it was a real good way to have representation there. I thought that was really good. Some of the stuff that's kind of reoccurring, you might hint on a little bit more, is that we're seeing a lot more discussions. Obviously, the groundwater committee and the ag committee have a lot of overlap within Aqua. It just seems to be a lot of the shared subjects are what's going on in groundwater is what's happening to ag. There's some other items, but those are the most pressing. And one of the things that are brought up in our Region 6, Region 7 committee meetings is that I think the word is getting out that it's going to be a treacherous path on these sub-basin management, and they're going to start seeing litigation. At least they're anticipating, as we all probably anticipate. And so one of the things that was shot down that was brought up at our Region 6, and I don't know how far it's going to go, but is that they were trying to request a fund that would help districts manage any kind of suits that may come about. And it wasn't passed by JPIA. They actually got 0. I believe it's 0.
Well, they got one response when they sent out a request 2 years ago.
To find interest.
To find interest but it's came up again because definitely now that we're facing down the fact that these state plans are all turned into the state, that they're, and it's already sort of started out here in the Mojave area, East Kern County, where the farmers are versus the federal government with their bases out there and everything about the water table dropping so fast. And so it's anticipated there's going to be lawsuits, and if we'd have started a fund ahead, you'd have put it in a little bit at a time, so we had a fight fund, because their vision was that some of these small districts that maybe will get sued will set a precedence for what the rulings are, and they don't have the money to really fight it. So rulings may not be the ones that all of us in the water world would like to see, that it would be better that we had a fund so that we could help those smaller districts have the legal power they need to defend themselves and get precedent, rulings that we would like to see. That's how I would understand it. John would maybe explain it a little better, but,
I'm not sure if I could.
So thank you, Carl, for clarifying that. But, so a lot of stuff going on, also it usually comes with a lot more things. That was some of the interesting things at the top of everybody's mind moving forward. And again, as I mentioned, I see the snow. It's nice to see snow now up there. And the forecast shows another potential rain event. So, you know, really looking forward to the district doing again what we did this year. There's great numbers. I mean, by anybody's standards, good numbers. And you know, the staff and the operations side is gonna have another challenge on their hands. Should we, you know, we'll mentally be more prepared for a similar year. We're gonna probably try to, you know, beat our expectations and try to one-up ourselves. So, looking forward to that, and, Merry Christmas.
Carl?
one of the things that hadn't been mentioned today, here back on November 17th, if I wrote the date right, we sort of had breakfast here for the staff, put on by the management, and I thought it went over very well. I'm not sure who put it all together, but they all deserve a hand for it. And they haven't mentioned that there is a function here on Friday at 12 o'clock also. And so, and I understand Tanisha's may be in charge of that one.
Apologies, yes, Friday.
Yeah, Friday.
She was also in charge of breakfast with bosses, and it was a very nice event.
But anyway, those two events have been, and I did attend the breakfast and participate. I already forgot what I served, but I served something.
The beans, Carl.
The beans, that's right. Okay. And in the Aqua JPIA, the main thing, two things were there. One, we lost one of our executive board members, Kathy Pig, former Aqua president. She lost the election in her district in November, so had to resign from that JPIA board. The other thing is to anticipate on our property insurance, especially, and even functions in the liability insurance. They're keeping the rates the same this year, but there is tremendous pressure in the insurance agency world over the wildfires in California, the tornadoes, hurricanes in the east, and flooding. The insurance companies over the last 2 years have actually paid out $1.04 for every dollar they brought in. So they are definitely looking and are raising rates. We managed to keep the same rate by using some reserve for this next year, but that can't go on forever. And we had $60 million of coverage for a major event. They were only able to buy on the excess insurance market $55 million this year. They could not cover the extra $5 million excess of anyone that would put it in at a price that they felt was equitable. And so that is something, they think it's a blip that will come down eventually, but we're definitely gonna face an increase in property insurance in the next few years. They're keeping it at a minimum, and they hope that with the captive insurance company that we now own that's based in Idaho will allow us to accomplish and overcome part of that, but that is the reality of the insurance market. Bill,
I thought you were gonna mention something else with that meeting, Carl.
huh?
I thought you were gonna mention something else with that meeting.
What?
You had Bling on the
Oh,
whole.
that's right, and she didn't mention it. And I didn't suggest
I was
it,
walking out.
she showed I had a special deal on my bench when I got there, and I didn't know why, but it was for a safety award. Sean number 2, who has since, putting in this, safety award application, has moved on to another district to the north of us, but he was awarded the safety, award, and, Tanisha has the pin that signifies it. His deal was that he suggested for up here in the mountains, when we're up here in the mountains, working on those places up there that, in effect, I'm calling it, that we have a satellite phone so that they can keep in contact, and so that staff here knows where staff is up there if need be, and so he was awarded $250 for that.
He has since done.
Huh?
He has since done.
Okay, good. But no, I forgot about that, I didn't write that down on my notes. But I would second the fact that the dinners with the three groups on Wednesday night, I felt, if you listen to the noise level in that room, there was tremendous conversation going on, and I think that. And I want to compliment the rest of our board members here that attended Aqua. There was 3 districts that had actual board members at Aqua this year from Bryant. All 3 of us were our districts that left Bryant and then now came back. Madera, Churchill, and Lower Cooley. I don't know what that signifies, but I thought that was sort of interesting. I did talk to Eric Quinley last night on Bryant Power. Yeah, the bottom generator is still spinning and making us money. If you noticed in Anthony's report, by the end of the year, we're gonna be about 50% over on power generation this year of our income over what we budgeted, and most of that came from Bryant, that increase especially, and things are going good now.
Very good. Dave?
I think they've about covered it.
You sure?
Yes.
He wasn't quite sure, but he did, okay. Yeah, I'll third the fact that the board there, and also coming from the Bryant staff, the fact that they have stakeholders there makes a big difference when we're talking to Bureau and all the different agencies, because they can put a face with other than just the staff who sees these people all the time. So it is important that we do make these meetings and get in there and talk with us, to the different people. Without a doubt, that dinner, having all the representation there and having all the Bureau people and the ability to talk to them on a one-on-one, a little more casual deal where it's not taking notes and they're just writing down. They're able to really talk with them and see where we're coming from. Makes a big difference, I think. And we definitely got a big staff with Bryant.
I was gonna say, the Bryant staff, from Jason all the way down,
Top notch.
are quality people.
Yeah.
And,
And it represents them when you're talking to the different people. I mean, you can see how the connections they have with all the different organizations.
matter of fact, Jim and I are gonna be supporting, Jason's gonna be here
Tomorrow.
speaking at the Economic Development Luncheon. So I'm, Jim, I think the 2 of us are coming.
Good.
Tomorrow.
I got that meeting in Turlock tomorrow.
So, with that, Merry Christmas to all and pray for a good new year.
I got one thing, and I hope my 2 management, Tommy and Gina, don't get, ask for a raise over this. But I did have one gentleman that I met down there at Aqua, and in the conversation up in the courtroom, that complimented both of you on how well you are managed it and how you meet with people, and he was very highly rated on you too.
Thank you.
And I I had one coming from a private individual the same way that you.
This was a private individual too.
That your knowledge of the county. After getting some replies that Madera wasn't on top of things, they came back and, had a lot better outlook because they hadn't been contacted or hadn't been involved. So it was more taken from one side, not listening all the way across. So with that, we are gonna adjourn, we're gonna go back to closed session and take care of you guys.
Won't be adjourning, yeah, we gotta go to closed session.
No, close it, or adjourn.